Welcome to the European Spaceport here in French Guiana and the launch of Sentinel-1C.
Our satellite is in there, on the top of the Vega C rocket, ready to start its journey into space.
For this YouTube Live, we will be here in the Jupiter Mission Control Center.
Right by your side to guide you through the operations. I'm Samuel Rogers.
I'm Katie Haswell, and welcome to VV25. Operations running smoothly here at the Guiana Space Center, where Sentinel-1C, an Earth observation satellite for Europe, is under the bonnet, right up there inside the top of our Vega C rocket inside there. We had a mechanical issue yesterday, which stopped us moving back the mobile gantry, but that's all sorted out today, and we are go for launch. This is the Mission Control Center. This is where Samuel and I are sitting. Samuel is the head of advanced studies at Arianespace, so we're very lucky to have him with us.
Hi, Katie. Hi, all. Great to be here.
It's good to have you. Let's start by going over to the CEO of Arianespace, Stefan Israel, to find out more about today's mission. Stefan, how are things looking at your end?
Everything is green. The launcher is green, the range is green, the satellite is green, and last but not least, the weather is green. So we will lift off in now less than 20 minutes. And
tell us about tonight's mission.
It's super important because tonight's mission is about Sentinel-1C. Sentinel-1C is part of the Copernicus program. The satellite has been built by Thales Arianespace. It will be the 6th satellite we are going to orbit for the Copernicus program. And this mission will be about giving Europe an autonomous access to space with Vega C and also using space for a better life on Earth.
And can you run through us, Stefan, some of the main steps? What's coming up? What can we expect?
Yeah, so at 6:20, we will lift off towards the north. We will have the 3 stages of Vega during 7 minutes. Then we will have the first boost of the AVUM upper stage. And after 3 boosts, we will release the satellite on its targeted orbit at an altitude of 700 kilometers. And it will be 1 hour and 43 minutes after liftoff.
Great. Well, listen, very best of luck, Stefan, to you and to all the teams there in the fishbowl. Best of luck, Stefan Israel. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Vega C is scheduled to lift off in 17 minutes. Vega standing tall there on the pad. There's the countdown on the top right-hand side of your screen. Samuel, why don't you talk us through some of the things that we're going to be seeing? We've had our cameras getting some ideas here of some of the things that we'll be seeing after launch.
Yeah, for sure. So first, the liftoff will be triggered by the ignition of the first stage of the Vega C launcher, the P120, and it will push for about 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And then a separation command will be sent to cut out this stage and to separate it. Then it will be followed by the ignition of the second stage, the Zefiro 40, which will take over from the P180 and continue increasing the launcher speed. And this for approximately 2 minutes. And then it will be separated, and this time it is the third stage, the Zefiro 9, that will provide the launcher thrust. During this stage, during this phase, we'll separate the fairing, which protected the satellites as we went through the atmosphere. And then the Zefiro 9 will be separated after 2.5 minutes. Then we'll have a rather important step, the first ignition of the upper stage, which we call the AVUM+. It's a different stage because it uses liquid propellants, contrary to the first 3 boosters. And it will shut down about 8.5 minutes later, and we'll have a long phase, which we call Ballistic phase, to lead us over Australia, where we will fire the engine for a second time. And then another Ballistic phase will lead us over Cuba, where we will fire the AVUM upper stage for the 3rd time before reaching the precise orbit required for Sentinel-1C, and will separate it. The last step of this mission will be the final burn of the upper stage over Canada to ensure the re-entry of the upper stage and to leave no debris orbiting the Earth.
And Sentinel-1C is part of the world's most advanced system for monitoring Earth. It's called Europe's Copernicus program. And Samuel, the Sentinel satellites work in pairs, don't they?
Yes, indeed, they do. And in the first two ones were Sentinel-1A and 1B, and it's very interesting because they collected together the largest set of radar data in the world. So it's very impressive.
It is indeed. But very sadly, after 5 years together, Sentinel-1B developed a failure, and the teams had to shut it down and put it into what we call a disposal orbit to reduce space debris. So you can see why it's now really important to get Sentinel-1C into space to provide the continuity of the service, because continuity is what it's all about with Earth observation. Let's get a closer look now at our satellite, Sentinel-1C.
Tonight, the Copernicus Sentinel-1C takes off from Europe's spaceport aboard Vega C, a significant step forward in the Copernicus program, an EU initiative dedicated to monitoring our planet, its climate and environment. The Sentinel satellites are part of Copernicus, the Earth observation component of the EU space program. Copernicus is managed by the European Commission and is funded by the EU with a partial contribution of the European Space Agency, ESA. The Sentinel-1 mission highlights the strong partnership between the European Space Agency and the European Union to provide vital radar data that Europe relies on. Built by Thales Alenia Space, Sentinel-1C is part of the Sentinel-1 satellite family, designed to capture high-resolution imagery of the Earth's surface day and night, and in all weather conditions. Ever since Sentinel-1A was launched back in 2014, the mission has provided crucial information helping to monitor land deformation, earthquake areas, volcanic activity, deforestation, glacial movements, sea ice and oil spills. Beyond these applications, Sentinel-1C will also play a vital role in maritime safety, as it is equipped with an AIS antenna to better monitor the movement of ships in critical maritime zones. The satellite also features a Galileo-enabled receiver for more precise orbit determination. Sentinel-1C's consistent data will benefit various sectors by supporting responses to climate-related challenges and enabling sustainable resource management. By adding Sentinel-1C to the fleet, the Copernicus program ensures continuity in its mission. Just like all Copernicus data, the data from Sentinel-1C is open and free to users worldwide, supporting environmental scientists, policymakers, and organizations working to protect ecosystems and ensure a sustainable future. The launch of Sentinel-1C on Vega C enhances the Copernicus program and underscores the EU's dedication to global sustainability and technological progress in space.
This is the first flight of Europe's lightweight Vega C since there was an issue in December 2022. And I know that everyone's been working really hard, haven't they, Samuel, to get things up and running for today?
Yes, correct. The stage in question, the Zefiro 40, has been redesigned and it was successfully fire tested twice this year. So engineers have analyzed the motor performance and it was confirmed that it's fully as expected. So this allows Vega C to be back to the pad today and ready to fly.
That's great. So let's take a little look now behind the scenes of our rocket today, Vega C.
Since its inception in 2012, Vega, Europe's light launch vehicle, has launched an impressive 22 missions into low Earth orbit, successfully deployed over 100 payloads into space. Renowned for its expertise in launching Earth observation satellites, Vega has played a pivotal role in winning the EU's Copernicus program, recognized globally as the premier Earth observation system. This achievement has firmly established Europe's reputation for providing flexible and reliable access to space.
The European Commission very much welcomes the return to flight of Vega C. This launcher is a pillar of Europe's strategic autonomy in access to space.
Vega C, a versatile launcher, plays a vital role in deploying scientific, commercial, and governmental satellites and embodies years of engineering innovation aimed at enhancing its predecessor Vega, which has had an impressive service record.
This Vega C return to flight is essential for us to achieve 4 launches next year. Arianespace has fully contributed to this success by working with the teams to be able to resume properly the operations.
On the 13th of July 2022, Vega C successfully completed its inaugural flight. More powerful and capable, it is a major step forward in European access to space autonomy. However, its second flight in December 2022 encountered an engine anomaly that led to its failure.
We are looking forward to see the Vega C back to flight with all the teams which have been working on Vega with a lot of commitment, with a lot of focus on the final results. We want also to be back to serve Europe and institutional mission with a robust launch.
Today, after a series of technical improvements and rigorous tests, Vega C is ready to return to service, demonstrating Europe's ability to overcome technological challenges and its determination to strengthen its independent access to space. Vega C is ready to take to the skies again, showcasing the dedication of engineers, scientists, and a whole team who work together, underscoring the collaborative efforts to ensuring success. This return to flight reflects ESA and Avio's resilience and technical ingenuity in addressing complex engineering challenges. At the heart of this return to flight is the Zefiro 40 engine, which underwent a series of tests in 2024, confirming its performance.
ESA oversaw an independent inquiry board to analyze the causes of past failures. This resulted in precise technical recommendations, which has all been carefully implemented in order to ensure a safe and reliable return to flight of Vega C. Today's launch marks a crucial step forward, reaffirming European independent access to space.
The test proved that the improvements made to the Zefiro 40 are full operational and in line with the prediction. The launch campaign started on October the 3rd is now completed. All technical threats have been properly treated and justified. On the basis of the provided evidences, we are ready for launch.
The countdown to Vega C's return to flight has begun. In just a few minutes, Vega C's launch will restore Europe's full autonomous access to space. This mission is set to work in tandem with the new Ariane 6 rocket, which had its inaugural flight earlier this year, showcasing Europe's strong commitment to advancing its space capabilities. The return of Vega C signals a new era for Europe in space, one marked by innovation, resilience, and ambition.
And the teams who will be operating Sentinel-1C once it's released into space are standing by in the mission control room at the European Space Operations Centre in Germany. And a short while ago, the Flight Operations Director, Ian Schirmer, took the roll call, where each team confirmed that they were ready for launch.
This is the OD on the briefing loop. This is the Sentinel-1C roll call. All positions to respond to myself on the briefing loop, quoting your call sign, immediately followed by go or no go. SOM.
SOM. Go.
Data handling.
Data handling. Go.
AOCS.
AOCS. Go.
Power.
Power. Go.
SPACON 1.
SPACON. Go.
Analyst.
Analyst. Go.
Timeline.
Timeline. Go.
Project rep.
Project rep. Go.
Project support. Software coordinator.
Software coordinator. Go.
Software support.
Software support. Go.
Flight dynamics.
Flight dynamics. Go.
OM.
OM. Go.
S-track.
S-track. Go.
Collision avoidance.
Collision avoidance. Go.
Scheduling.
Scheduling. Go.
Thank you, everyone. This concludes the Sentinel-1C roll call. ESOC is go for launch.
And we'll be checking back in with ESOC later after launch. We'll look forward to that. We're back here in Kourou. We are also go for launch. All eyes on the status panels before launch. They will have to be green for it to go ahead. And we do have another control center on the job today. We call it launch control.
Yeah, and these are the team overseeing all the final operations. You can see them on the screen, and that are necessary to be carried out just before the launch.
À tous de DDO. Attention pour la séquence finale lanceur. Top H0 4 minutes.
So that's the Range Operations Manager there announcing the beginning of what we call the synchronized sequence or automatic sequence. It's an important step, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed. It's a very important step because, in fact, the rocket is becoming progressively autonomous. So now the computers are managing an impressive sequence of complex operations, and all of this time to the millisecond.
Now, the teams have been working at the Spaceport for a couple of months now, preparing the rocket and the satellite for today. And we've had our cameras following those operations. Samuel, why don't you talk us through some of the things that they've been doing? Because they've been very busy, haven't they?
Yeah, indeed, yeah. So most of the part of the launcher, or the Vega C launcher, arrived by sea at the port of Kourou, as you can see on the screen, and they were then transported by road to the Space Center. The first stage, P120, arrives on the mobile platform on the Vega C launch pad, and then it's hoisted into the mobile gantry. Here we have the second stage, Zefiro 40, which is lifted and assembled on top of the first stage, P120. Step by step, we are building an assembly of solid rocket boosters. Then the third stage, Zefiro 9, is hoisted itself in the building and integrated on top of the Zefiro 40. The Avon Plus, then the upper stage, arrives in its container, as you can see on the truck, and then it's unloaded from its container and integrated onto the Zefiro 9 stage. As for the satellite, Sentinel-1C arrived in French Guiana beginning of October by plane, and then it went through a number of operations in autonomy first, and then it was integrated on its adapter, and with a number of dedicated operations filled with propellants. You can see the special suits which were used for this operation. And then it was enveloped in the fairing, which protects the satellites for the next phases of the mission. The upper composite was then transferred to the launch zone on a mobile platform. It's hoisted to the very top of the launcher and integrated on top of the Avon Plus upper stage. And once the entire launcher is ready, we remove the mobile gantry a few hours before liftoff, and we have now the launcher ready on the pad.
And there she is standing tall, looking very beautiful. 1 minute and 30 seconds to launch, Samuel. It's always a bit of a kind of an intense moment at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, intense is the right word. We can feel it. It's also full of concentration. All the teams are focused on their task towards the launch, but very professional, because they have done this many times.
À tous de DDO, attention pour -1 minute. Top H0 -1 minute.
And we are 1 minute to launch. We're live at the European Spaceport in French Guiana, getting ready for the launch of Sentinel-1C for Europe. Good luck, everyone.
Good luck.
À tous de DDO, attention pour le décompte final. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, top. Allumage PK décollage. La propulsion est nominale. La trajectoire est nominale.
Acquisition de Saint-Jean.
Acquisition Saint-Jean.
Sentinel-1C and Vega C are on their way.
Les
Blazing
paramètres à bord sont normaux.
a trail across the equatorial skies. We're hearing there that
La
everything's going
propulsion
according
est
to plan,
nominale.
and the propulsion is normal. We're hearing the rumble here in our commentary box about 15 kilometers away. As it flies over, it takes a while for the sound to
Le
get to us.
pilotage est calme, la trajectoire est nominale.
He's telling us that everything is going according to plan.
Nice views.
Burning the P120 upper first stage here. Yeah, lovely views.
Le pilotage est calme, la trajectoire est nominale.
Everything's going well. Looking there at the
Tous
engine.
les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
Looking there at the engine on the P21 stage.
Exactly.
The P120 stage.
First stage, yeah, which should be burning for a bit more than 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And everything is going the right way.
Got our cameras there really capturing some fantastic images. Very lucky with the weather because it was raining this morning and very, very cloudy. So the clouds parted for us and we can see these wonderful shots.
Very lucky, yeah.
Coming up, the next event will be the separation of the P120. That's what it looks like.
Séparation P120.
And we have confirmation there that
Allumage Z40.
the second stage has switched on, the Z40.
La propulsion est nominale.
And the propulsion's nominal.
Yeah, and Zefiro 40, so Z stands for an Italian wind, type of wind, Zefiro, and 40, it's meaning the amount of propellant, the mass of propellant inside the stage.
La trajectoire est nominale.
So Zefiro 40 tons.
All going well. And Vega C, our rocket today, is an
Le pilotage
upgraded...
est calme, la propulsion est nominale.
Everything nominal. An upgraded version of Vega, isn't it?
Yeah, true. There were several improvements with respect to Vega, the little sister. There are two main ones for our customers. First is the improvement of the performance, so the amount of mass of satellite that you can put in a given point in space. And it was increased on Vega
Le
C.
pilotage est calme, les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
It was increased on Vega C by 70%. This is quite massive and interesting. Second point is the size of the satellite. The fairing, the cover on top of the launcher, was doubled in volume as compared to Vega. So this enables to put much larger satellites in there and put them in the same point in space. So another big change, big evolution, which is interesting for our customers.
And we've got a good shot there of the fairing, we call it. It's that sort of bulbous section at the front of the rocket which is encapsulating the satellite. The next event, when we do get to lose that, we won't need it anymore because, of course, we won't have the friction. But let's just quickly run people through what we're looking at the top of the screen, Samuel, because we've got our curve on the left-hand side. The green line is the projected planned route?
The plan for this flight. So it's the projected altitude along the distance, and the green curve is the plan, which the rocket has to follow. And then the yellow cross is the actual position of the rocket. So as you see, we are perfectly on track.
And if you look on the right of that, you can see that we're already travelling at nearly 4.5 kilometres per second. Everybody, per second. It's incredibly fast.
Séparation Z40.
And we have confirmation there that we've now separated the Z40.
Exactly.
Allumage Z9.
And we have switched on the Z9
Propulsion nominale.
engine, and the propulsion is all going normally. Next up will be separation of the fairing.
Exactly. Because we don't need it anymore as we are out of the atmosphere.
And look how
Séparation coiffe.
it falls away. It's all very perfectly planned, and we have the confirmation of that, so that's great
La propulsion
news.
est nominale, la trajectoire est nominale.
All going well. We can see our satellite for the first time. What are we looking at here?
Yeah, indeed, we can see. So on the right, you can see the Sentinel-1C satellite with, of course, its solar panels on the side, folded for launch. And top, you can see the radar, which is folded as well. It's attached on a conical.
Tous les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
Sorry, on a black cone, which is the launcher adapter, itself attached to a white ring, which is the upper stage Avon Plus. And the last part of the launcher is, of course, the Zephyr 9 stage, which is currently firing, as you can see. Very, very fast, yeah.
Very, very fast.
So I was saying that the animation shows what it should look like, including the orientation of the launcher and the satellite along the trajectory, showing the orientation with respect to the Earth or the Sun.
Séparation Z9.
We have confirmation there that the Z9 stage has separated.
Pleine visibilité Saint-Jean.
And we are now waiting for the next big event. So our flight path takes us north up over the Caribbean towards the east coast of Canada.
Yes, and then we will cross the Arctic and then back down over Southeast Asia and finally to west coast of Australia, where we will pick up contact with the New Norcia station.
Right now we're
Pleine de visibilité Galio.
He's just said we've got outside the range of the Galio tracking station. That's the one here at the European
Acquisition
Spaceport.
Bermude.
And we've picked up the signal at Bermuda in the northern Caribbean islands. So Vega's checking in Bermuda and saying hello to the teams there. Next up, we're getting ready to switch on the Avon Plus upper stage.
Which should be soon.
Allumage à Vaume.
And we have confirmation, so that's very good news. So we've really started the next phase of the journey. The Avon upper stage has taken the wheel. It's our taxi driver. Its job is to take our passenger to its required drop-off point, if you like, in space.
Tous les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
Yes,
La propulsion est nominale.
The Avon Plus will deliver the Sentinel-1C satellite exactly on the right point in orbit, in the correct orientation. So to do that, we need to perform a precise set of maneuvers, and as we said earlier,
Le pilotage est calme, les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
And of course, we'll be seeing those on the graphic animation. And big space projects like this involve thousands of people pulling together to make them happen. And they need brain power. They involve teamwork, of course, and a lot of problem-solving skills. Probably a lot of coffee as well.
Tous les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
Everything's going well. And the Sentinel-1 satellites are designed, built, and tested by the European aerospace giant Thales Alenia Space, right?
That's right. They are what we call the prime contractor. So it's a bit like the conductor of the orchestra. And it means that they have to manage a group of around 70 companies and suppliers. And each of these players play a super important role.
Yeah, really, really important. And right now, Thales Alenia Space...
La propulsion est nominale, la trajectoire est nominale.
They're also preparing Sentinel-1C's sibling, Sentinel-1D, at their manufacturing plant in Cannes, south of France.
Yes, and it should be launched soon, so good luck, everyone.
Yep, good luck. And the Sentinel-1 family is very interesting because they've really raised the bar.
Le pilotage est calme, la trajectoire est nominale.
For spaceborne radar, and Thales Alenia Space, I know, are real experts in this.
Yes, it's correct. In fact, they have created a world first because they have created a mechanism to separate the radar antenna from the spacecraft platform. Of course, at the end of the mission, when it re-enters the Earth atmosphere. And this is key because it helps reducing
le pilotage est
the
calme, les
space
paramètres
debris.
à bord sont normaux.
And that's really the name of the game at the moment, reducing space debris, very important. So another important team are, of course, the experts who create the Vega rocket, because we've got to launch our satellite.
Indeed, and this is done by the Italian company Avio.
And then we have the teams who operate the Guiana Space Center.
It's run by the French Space Agency, which we call CNES. They are managing all the means on ground necessary to make this launch happen.
And of course, then there's the Arianespace teams. That's your company, Samuel, who operate the launches.
Yes, indeed. And we are preparing the launcher to perform this mission. So it means customizing it, checking that it's correctly fitted to make this specific Sentinel-1C launch.
And then, of course, we have the teams in the tracking stations in all the different countries dotted along the flight paths, because the rocket's effectively talking to them as it flies over, as it goes in and out of their range, if you like, and we're heading towards picking up our signal, hopefully at the Gatineau tracking station in Canada, I think.
Yeah, close to Ottawa City in Canada, indeed.
Yeah. And the teams who are keeping their eye on all this are in what we call the Quick Look Telemetry Centre, isn't it? The CVI.
Indeed, yeah. They are receiving all the flight parameters from the launcher along the flight, thanks to these stations, and they are monitoring what's happening on board.
Acquisition de la télémesure par la station Gatineau.
And we have the Gatineau tracking station. So we've checked in Gatineau. That's good news. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No problem. It was normal. And here we see the team. So they are located on La Montagne des Pères, very close to Kourou. So we can see Justine Tenil, who is managing the team, but also Alexis Macaire, and together with Avio colleagues and CNES colleagues. And so this link is possible thanks to several ground tracking stations, as we mentioned, which are used for this mission. They are located along the ground track of the launcher, first in French Guiana, of course, and then on Bermuda Island, Canada, and finally Australia.
And of course, these guys in the CVI are located on top of the hill, as you said, so that they can capture that signal. And then we have another team in the control room in Colleferro, which I believe is just outside Rome, and we can see them now.
Yeah, indeed. We can see them on the screen, so it's south of Rome, and they are checking from Italy that the launcher behavior is correct. They are analyzing the data, and you can see people from different teams here, such as propulsion, structure, control, etc. So they are available and ready to jump in case of need, which is very precious.
They're very useful. The more people we have on the job, the better.
Yeah.
Always good. So if we look there at the right-hand side of our screen, our altitude, we have climbed up to 244 kilometers and climbing. Our distance from the pad, if we were to draw a straight line along the Earth, and we've done about 4,500 kilometers so far. And our speed, look at that, we are traveling at nearly 8 kilometers per second, everybody, per second. That's fast.
That's super fast, yeah. Yeah, if we want to compare with, let's say, car velocity, this converts into 28,000 kilometers per hour. So it's really a very fast Ferrari, let's say.
Yeah.
And it's if we compare with a plane, a commercial aircraft is just 30 times faster. So it's super fast.
Wow. Which is why we can fly around the planet so quickly.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's thanks to the orbital mechanics. So one of the features of the Avon Plus upper stage is that it can switch its engine on and off, and that is very important, isn't it?
Yes, it's very important because thanks to this feature, we can take different passengers to different orbits, but on the same launch, on the same mission. So for this version, Avon Plus, we have 8 firing possible in total versus 5 on previous Vega little sister. So with Vega C, we can deliver several satellites on 3 different orbits on the same mission, which is really key, instead of 2 different orbits with Vega.
Anything else? Any other improvements?
Yeah, we mentioned before that the performance capability was increased. It means that typically the size of the tanks and the propellant on the upper stage here were increased by 30% with respect to Vega Avum. So it means we can bring heavier satellites in the same point in space. So this is, again, a new feature for the benefit of our customers.
Yeah, so that's very, very useful for them. 15 minutes, coming up to sort of 16 minutes into our flight. We will be getting ready to shut down the engine on the upper stage. What's actually happening up there, Samuel?
So we are consuming propellant gently, and the upper stage is ready to switch the engine off once we have reached the correct point in space, means the right altitude, the right velocity, and once this will be reached, we will automatically switch off the engine.
And how does it know when to do that?
Because it's very, very clever. No, in fact, we have put in the flight software of the launcher on the ground the precise location on the pad, and then it has clever instruments that can measure along the way where the launcher is, its orientation, its velocity, etc. And based on this data, it can assess automatically when to stop the engine once the desired position is reached.
So the AVAM upper stage scheduled to switch its engine off.
Should occur in a while.
Waiting for the confirmation there from the range operations manager. Why is it the scheduled time to switch it off at the moment?
Extension confirmée de l'avant.
And we have confirmation there that has shut down.
We are shutting the engine down because we are soon getting out of visibility of the Gatineau tracking station, and we want to be sure we switch off the engine before we are out of this contact. That's all very normal.
Les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
And as planned.
And today's launch is very much the result of collaboration across Europe, teams all working together. We've been chatting to some of those members of the teams, and let's go and hear from them now.
In quanto capoprogramma, le mie responsabilità durante la campagna di lancio e prima sono molto ampie, riguardano praticamente tutta l'organizzazione della campagna, la gestione qui al sito di lancio, l'interfaccia con il cliente e con l'autorità di lancio attraverso riunioni quotidiane che riguardano la gestione di tutti gli aspetti della campagna.
Être chef de projet, c'est être le point de contact unique du client au sein d'Arianespace. À partir de la signature du contrat, mon rôle au quotidien est de m'assurer de la coordination de toutes les activités pour la préparation de la mission, de la campagne, puis du lancement.
Le rôle de l'ingénieur sauvegarde, c'est d'assurer la sécurité des opérateurs qui travaillent sur Vega. Ce qui est vraiment très intéressant en tant que sauvegarde, c'est qu'on suit la campagne du début à la fin et qu'on connaît l'ensemble des opérations. On est vraiment au cœur des équipes opérationnelles et ça, c'est vraiment quelque chose qui me plaît beaucoup.
Como jefe de proyecto de Sentinel-1, hemos estado trabajando en los últimos años, hemos estado trabajando, porque he sido yo con todo el equipo, con más de 70 empresas europeas en la construcción de los 4 satélites, Sentinel-1A, B, C y D. He tenido el privilegio de lanzar anteriormente el 1A y el 1B y espero tener el privilegio de lanzar el 1D posteriormente. Me han preguntado muchas veces por qué el color que llevamos en Sentinel-1 es el rojo. Bueno, pues la respuesta es muy clara. Nosotros lo que estamos volando es un Ferrari.
Quel meilleur cadeau, j'ai envie de dire, en fin d'année, alors que Noël approche, qu'un lancement réussi pour le retour en vol de Vega C. Et je ne peux pas m'empêcher à ce moment-là de penser également aux collègues de la direction qui auront également fêté cette année le premier vol d'Ariane 6. Nous avons également fêté le dernier vol de Vega très récemment. Et donc je pense qu'on retiendra de cette année 2024 qu'elle marque l'arrivée de la nouvelle génération des lanceurs européens qui feront la fierté, j'en suis sûr, de l'ensemble du secteur.
Great to hear from everybody. Now, once the upper stage delivers our satellite Sentinel-1C onto its orbit, the teams at the European Space Operations Centre in Germany will take over their satellite.
Yeah, first Sentinel-1C should call home, then it will unfold its solar panels and in fact start the process of being tested before it actually begins its job of imaging our planet.
And mission control at ESOC, I have to be honest with you, it's a really special place. I've been there quite a few times myself. And it's very much where the missions come alive. It's a centre of excellence where the teams operate more than 85 satellites, which I think is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and they're also taking care of the European Space Agency global network of tracking stations.
Yep. And it's also now home to the agency's growing space safety program. So they're a very, very busy bunch over there. Thomas Ormston is one of the people in charge of flying our Sentinel-1C satellite, and I hope that he's standing by because we're going to go over to him now to show us around mission control at the European Space Operations Centre.
Thank you very much, Katie, and thank you to Vega C for that beautiful launch. I hope I can show you around mission control here. We're all a bit overcome with seeing our spacecraft finally flying on its way to space, but we wanted to take you inside and show you the people that make up mission control and what they do, because honestly, it's the people here that are what make our mission great. They're what make our mission fly, and they're what's important tonight. So we're going to start right here in this corner, one that you don't see very often, because down in this row, we don't actually fly any spacecraft here, but these people are just as important. Here we have Christian and Valerio. They are our software coordinators. They're the ones that make sure our computers work. You've all seen IT support. Well, this is about the best IT support you can possibly hope for. They keep all our systems working as we fly our satellite tonight. Next to them, we have Pablo and Brett, our ground operations managers. They're also not flying spacecraft, but they're flying the big dishes, the tracking stations all around the world that we use to talk to our satellites. So we've got tracking stations from Troll in Antarctica to Kiruna in Sweden, Svalbard in the Arctic Circle, and round to Alaska, which will be the station that will first hear the signals from Sentinel-1 tonight. So we'll be all eyes on them later on as they catch that all-important first signal from Sentinel-1. But the reason the people there are doing their jobs is so that the people here on the front rows can do theirs, and we're responsible for looking after the satellite itself, the spacecraft in orbit. Starting on this end with some of our supporting cast, we have our product assurance Stefano, Jonathan, our timeline, making sure we stay on track, Mauro looking after all of our systems and our configurations. All of these things make spacecraft operations possible, make it possible for us to fly a satellite like Sentinel-1. But the real experts about the spacecraft are the people sitting in these chairs around the front, and each one is specialized in one part of the satellite. So starting here, we have Pol, Attitude and Orbit Control Subsystem. He's the one that's responsible for the thrusters, the engines, the wheels inside, everything that makes the satellite move, turn, and fly in its orbit. So without him, we couldn't actually fly anywhere. Next to him is our spacecraft controller, Daniela, and she is the one that actually talks to the satellite. If we need to tell it something, she is the one that sends the commands and tells it what to do. Then right in the middle sits the spacecraft operations manager, Alistair O'Connell. This is also my position. Alistair is the A shift, I am the B shift. I'll take over from him in about 10 hours from now. And the job of the spacecraft operations manager is to bring this whole row together and to connect all of these different parts and make sure that we can successfully fly the spacecraft, this very complicated machine, where it needs to go. Then moving around, we have Camilla, our data handling engineer. She's the brain surgeon for our spacecraft, the one that speaks the bits and bytes that make the spacecraft work. She masters the computer of the satellite, and without that, of course, it can't think, it can't do anything, so we're very lucky we have her here. And finally, at the end, we have Carlo, our power engineer. He's looking after the batteries, the charging, the solar panels, but also the thermal. That's making sure the satellite's not too hot, not too cold. But critically for Sentinel-1, he's also the master of the deployments. Luckily, he has a rather fine Lego model to help him find out what we're deploying. But as you saw in the videos before, Sentinel-1 has a really complex system of deployments for that big radar antenna, those big solar panels, to make it work. And we'll end up here at the management row. Here we have, first of all, Gregory, our project representative, who represents a huge team that's not in this room of people that are there from industry, from ESA, all of the people that have been working for years to make this mission reality, to get it to the point where right now it's riding flight VV25 to orbit. And finally, sitting in the big chair here, we have the Flight Operations Director, Ian Shermer. He's in charge of everything that happens in this room. You heard him earlier for the roll call, and he's the voice that we will be listening to in about an hour and a half from now, when we hopefully get that first signal. He will announce that we have a spacecraft that Sentinel-1 is talking to us. So that's what we're working for now. You can see our board is green, ESOC is green. We are ready. You've seen all the people that are going to make it happen. Right now, I can say very happily that ESOC is ready for the flight of Sentinel-1C, and we look forward to seeing our new spacecraft in orbit very soon.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for showing us around, Thomas. That was great. Now, we've talked about some of the teams involved in today's launch. Let's turn our attention now to the people who use the information from the Sentinel satellites. The Copernicus program currently has more than 750,000 registered users, which is a lot. And they're anyone from farming, shipping, to environmentalists and emergency services. And that information, as we heard earlier, is completely free, so it's a fantastic service. Now, one of the organisations which uses the information from the from the Sentinel satellites is the European Maritime Safety Agency. And they run a service called CNES, which uses satellite data to detect oil spills and vessels and help participating countries to locate and identify polluters in areas under their jurisdiction. So it's very, very important. And I am excited to let you know that joining me now in the commentary box is the Senior Project Officer for CNES, Sonia Santos. Sonia, thank you so much for coming up here to chat with us. What a great launch.
It is, absolutely. So for everybody that is involved in this major program, watching the successful launch of Sentinel-1, it is amazing. Yeah. Amazing. So it's the years of hard work and teamwork and cooperation at European level. So Sentinel-1C will ensure the continuity of the critical data that we rely on for monitoring our planet and address environmental challenges.
Yes, and that's really, really important, isn't it? That continuity. So tell us about CNES. What do you guys do?
So just to provide a little bit of context for the ones that are less familiar with the European Maritime Safety Agency. So EMSA is a EU decentralized agency that is located in Lisbon, Portugal, that has as a mission to secure EU maritime interests for a safe, secure, green and competitive maritime sector, and also act as a respectable and reliable partner within EU and worldwide. So within this scope, EMSA set up and operates the CNES services. What it is, the CNES service. So it's the European satellite-based oil spill and vessel detection service that provides relevant information based on SAR imagery to the member states within 20 minutes of satellite acquisition.
And for anyone who's not familiar, SAR imagery is satellite imagery.
Yes, so it's Earth observation data. So SAR has the particularity to be weather independent and without the need of illumination. So it is quite important, can be acquired during the day and the night, if it is raining, if there is clouds. So it is an information that is always available independent of the weather.
So you can identify oil spills, you can identify polluters, and that is hugely, hugely important. And who can access CNES?
So CNES is available for national administrations from the member states that have a role at sea, mainly for the pollution part, but is also available for countries that share a basin with us. So it means in the Med, in the Black and Caspian Sea also.
And I think it's fair to say, Sonia, isn't it, that we can all feel very, very proud of the Copernicus program, because it's hugely important to all of us here on Earth.
Yes, absolutely. So Copernicus is the most ambitious Earth observation program. So it showcases Europe's power on teamwork, on science, on innovation, driving really on the limits for the monitoring of our planet and addressing their challenges. So for sure, I think that all of us, all European citizens, must be proud today of this.
And you're very happy to see Sentinel-1C on its way.
We are.
Sonia Santos, thank you very, very much indeed for coming up and chatting to us and telling us about your really important work. Sonia, thank you. We're going to take a short break now because we'll be coming back to you again when we get ready to switch our engine back on the Avum upper stage. We'll be coming back to you in about just over half an hour. So come and join us back here in about just over half an hour. We'll leave the telemetry on the screen for you.
Acquisition de la télémesure par la station New Norcia.
Hello again. And welcome back to our YouTube Live. We are on the road.
La trajectoire est nominale, les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
We're on the road to space. We are 51 minutes into the launch of Sentinel-1C on its way to its drop-off point in space. We've just heard that everything's going nominally according to plan, and we've picked up the signal at the tracking station in New Norcia. I'm with Samuel Rogers in the commentary box overlooking mission control here at the Guiana Space Center. Samuel, we've had a beautiful launch. It was really stunning, wasn't it?
Yeah, with clear sky, we were lucky after this rainy day, cloudy day. And indeed, it started with a beautiful liftoff from P120 with its ignition, then burning for around 1 or 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Then the relay was taken by the second stage, Zefiro 40, for a bit more than 2 minutes. And then the third stage, Zefiro 9, took over for 2 minutes and 35 seconds. Then we had this first ignition of the upper stage, Avon Plus, over Canada. Then this long phase with no propulsion, so we call it ballistic phase, over Arctic and Asia. And now we have visibility of New Norcia tracking station in Australia.
And on the right side of your screen, you can see our satellite, Sentinel-1C, all folded up, a little bit like it's inside a chrysalis at the moment. Once it unfolds its solar panels, like a butterfly later, that will be a very nice sight. But right now, we are looking here at the telemetry information coming in from the rocket on the left-hand side. Samuel, just a quick reminder for anyone who missed earlier, the trajectory.
Yeah, the green curve is the plan, so the planned evolution of the altitude along the distance, and as you see, it's increasing. The target orbit is circular at 700 kilometer altitude, so it's increasing towards 700, and the yellow cross corresponds to the actual launcher position. So as you see, it's perfectly on the track, and that's very good news.
Coming up to the next moment, which is switching the Avon Plus engine back on. That's the scheduled time. You saw it on the
Deuxième allumage de l'étage Avon.
On the animation, and we have confirmation there from the range operations
La propulsion
manager
est nominale.
that we have switched the engine on, and that's really important. It's an important moment. And why are we switching it on now, though?
We are switching it on now because now we are in the visibility, in contact with the station of New Norcia, the ground tracking station. So we were in a position to check that everything was fine on board based on the data that this team is analyzing currently, the real-time monitoring team. And indeed, as everything was fine, we also fired the upper stage for the second time.
Now, Samuel, let's just chat a little bit about your job, because it's quite interesting. You run a small team, don't you, at Arianespace, but what do you guys actually do?
So our job is to kind of understand what a potential customer would like to achieve with our rocket. So we are discussing with the different customers before we sign a launch agreement, and all what's at stake is try to understand what they want to do with our launcher.
Le vol se déroule nominalement.
So we are trying to find if we can offer what they are asking for. If so, then it's perfect. If not, we try to create a solution and build some new features on our launcher, or to meet their need, of course. But sometimes it's, and this is part of the interest of the job, is a teamwork between launcher side and satellite side to commonly build the solution that makes the story work at the end. So the satellite at the right place, doing its right mission.
Il reste 1 minute de propulsion Avon.
In space.
And he's telling us that we've got 1 minute left of propulsion on the Avon upper stage. So what kinds of things do your customers and their spacecraft require? You must have some really interesting satellites and spacecraft that you have to launch.
Yeah, it really depends. There is a variety of demands, but it can be very specific orbits from low, first orbits around the Earth at low altitude to like exploring the moon or other planets, so very mission specific. And then it could be embarking several satellites, be it for the same customer or different customers. And in that case, of course, the mission is a bit more complex and it's a bit more challenging to design, but that makes it very interesting to do.
I guess you have to all be very creative. It's exciting,
Indeed,
very
yeah.
exciting, and exciting times ahead for space. So coming up now, that's the
Deuxième extinction de l'étage avant.
the confirmation there that we have now switched the engine off again. We've shut the engine down again for the second, what we call ballistic
L'orbite
phase.
du lanceur est nominale.
Right on track.
Right on track, bang on time. And he says the orbit is nominal, everything's going according to plan. So we
Début de l'orientation pour le mode barbecue.
And we are starting the barbecue mode, which is an interesting feature, which means that we are twisting as if on a spit to keep our temperatures all nice and even. Right, we're going to take another break while we go through this coast phase. We will be coming back in about 40 minutes. We'll be coming back, let me give you some specific times, 8 o'clock here in Kourou, that's midnight GMT, Universal Time, and 1 a.m. CET. See you then.
Début du mode barbecue. La trajectoire est nominale. Perte nominale de la télémesure pour une durée d'environ 30 minutes. Acquisition de la télémesure par la station Galileo. Les paramètres à bord sont normaux, les pressions sont nominales. Trajectoire nominale. Poursuite du mode barbecue nominalement. Tous les paramètres à bord sont normaux. Les paramètres à bord sont normaux. Trajectoire nominale. Acquisition de la télémesure par la station Bermude. Début de la manœuvre d'orientation. Les paramètres à bord sont normaux. Fin de visibilité par la station Galio.
Hello again and welcome back to our YouTube live Road to Space. I'm Katie Haswell and joining me in the commentary box, Samuel Rogers from Arianespace. It's great to have you with us, Samuel. Thank you. We are 1 hour...
Hello again.
Guys, 1 hour and 40 minutes into the flight of Sentinel-1C on its way to its destination in
Acquisition de la
space.
télémesure par Gatineau.
We just picked up the signal there at the Gatineau tracking station. So we're
Troisième
riding,
allumage de la VOM.
and we have the confirmation there of the third switching on of the Avon upper stage engine.
Correct, exactly, yeah. So we need 3 steps.
La propulsion est nominale, les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
Everything going according to plan?
And the propulsion is as planned. So we need 3 steps to reach the final orbit required for Sentinel-1C. It's like if we split the work in 3 tasks, and we are progressively increasing the altitude of the satellite, as you see on the chart on the top left part of the screen.
And the Avon upper stage switches its engine off again in about 1 minute.
Yeah, just below 2 minutes, 1:48 as per nominal plan.
Yep. And looking there, as you say, on the left-hand side of the screen, there's the what looks like sort of going up in steps, as you say, our trajectory, all going very well. And then on the right-hand side, we're travelling, we're actually at our altitude now, nearly 700 kilometres above the Earth, Samuel.
It's close to the final destination because, as we mentioned at the beginning of this live, we are targeting an altitude just close to 700 kilometer circular
Trajectoire
orbit.
nominale.
Everything going normally. We've travelled nearly 4,000, well, we've travelled 3,647 kilometres if you were to draw a straight line along the Earth, and we're flying along at just under 8 kilometres per second. What was it, 28,000 kilometres an hour?
Exactly.
Extinction, troisième boost à vous.
And we have confirmation that the Avoum upper stage has switched its engine off. So now we
Début de la manœuvre d'orientation au profit de la séparation de Sentinel-1C.
And the orientation maneuver is starting in order to get ready to separate our satellite.
Yeah, it means that we have to perform several maneuvers to orient the satellite and the launcher in the correct direction.
Poursuite nominale de la manœuvre d'orientation.
As required by Sentinel-1C. So this is done through, as you see, some very gentle maneuvers with some slight boosters putting the launcher in the right angle and orientation. And once we'll have reached the final desired orientation, we'll activate what we call the separation system, so the clamping device that maintains the satellite on the launcher. And it will as well activate a set of spring, which will gently push Sentinel-1C away from the remaining part of the launcher.
So we'll effectively ping it into space.
Yeah.
With our springs, and that's of course to avoid any collisions, to avoid anybody bumping into anybody else. Getting close now. That's the scheduled moment to separate our satellite.
Séparation Sentinel-1C.
And we have confirmation that Sentinel-1C has been delivered and separated. Well, that's great news, and we are looking at happy faces there in the Mission Control Center. A very good feeling. The teams at ESOC will be taking over their baby now, their satellite, and waiting next for Sentinel-1C to call home, send us its signal, and tell us that it's happy. Teams here in Mission Control have been working
Pression réservoir nominale.
very hard for this moment. So the work is over for some, and it's just beginning for others.
Yeah, as we understood just before. Yeah, it's the end of a journey for many of us, and a new chapter starting to be written for several other teams.
Hoping to hear from Stefan Israel, who is the CEO of Arianespace. Hi,
Début de la manœuvre d'orientation pour le premier boost d'éloignement.
Hello,
Hi,
Cathy.
Stefan.
Hello.
Thanks for coming again to chat with us. Great news then, we have separation.
Yes, so the separation has occurred on its targeted orbit, and tonight it's a double success for Europe. It's a success for the Copernicus program, for ESA, for the European Commission. It's a success for the Vega C launcher, for Avio, prime contractor of the launcher, with a perfect return to flight. So, nice evening.
Very good news. And what's the plan for next year, Stefan?
Yes, and I should have mentioned that it's a success for Thales Alenia Space as well, which is a prime contractor of the satellite. So next year we will start the year with Ariane 6, and then we will have a flight of Vega C. It will be 2 key institutional missions, and it will be super exciting.
Great. Thank you very much indeed, Stefan Israel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Now, the European Commission is Programme Manager for Copernicus, which is co-funded by the European Union and the European Space Agency. And on the ESA side, the Copernicus Space Office supervises and facilitates the implementation of the activities and ensures the formal interface with the European Commission. And I'm very happy to tell you that I'm joined here in the commentary box by Pierre Potin. Pierre, thank you very much for coming to see us. Pierre is the head of the Copernicus Space Office at ESA. And Pierre, you were previously the mission manager on the Sentinel-1 missions, so we're really happy to have you here because you wear 2 hats. Pierre, It was a great launch, wasn't it? And we've separated our satellite. You must be very, very happy.
Oh, yes, I'm very happy. And it's clear that now there will be some key operations to be executed on the satellite itself, and that will lead to its readiness for the operations after a few months' time. But now I'm thinking about the various users of Sentinel-1 data. They are certainly very relieved today. I'm thinking about the various Copernicus services who are using Sentinel-1 data operationally, but also the main scientists worldwide, as well as the public institutions at European, national, local level. I'm also thinking about the commercial companies in Europe that are excellent in this domain, that are doing business in Europe, but also outside Europe.
And why is the Sentinel-1C satellite so important for everybody?
So it's very important to have this Sentinel-1C operational as soon as possible, because the mission objectives on the Sentinel-1, 2, and 3 missions actually are based on 2 satellites in orbit to fulfill the mission objective. So in the case of Sentinel-1, we have the 1A, which was launched more than 10 years ago. Then we had Sentinel-1B that after almost 6 years in orbit interrupted its operation. So we had to launch Sentinel-1C as soon as possible. And we are looking forward launching also Sentinel-1D towards the end of next year.
So you need that continuity, don't you? And tell me about some of the applications that you're going to be using the data for the Sentinel-1s. What does it get used for?
So there are many applications based on Sentinel-1 radar data, and this is really the beauty of this mission. So Sonia from EMSA earlier has mentioned the operational oil spill detection
Début de la
system.
manœuvre d'orientation pour le dernier boost avant.
He's just telling us that there's a new orientation phase just starting there.
Right. And in the domain of maritime surveillance, so ship detections, illegal fisheries monitoring, actually the authorities along the coast of French Guiana, they are using operationally Sentinel-1 data for illegal fisheries monitoring. And there are other many very important services, for instance, for the Copernicus.
La trajectoire est nominale, les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
Regarding sea ice and iceberg monitoring. If we go over land, there are a number of key services that supporting agriculture, like crop estimates, but also water resources management, as well as forest monitoring, deforestation. Not very far from here, actually, the Brazilian authorities, they use operationally Sentinel-1 data to detect new deforestation activities. Still in the domain of emergency management.
Quatrième allumage du boost.
When there are major events like large floods, Sentinel-1 is very accurately providing a map of water extent, and this is really useful for the civil security civil protections. And I should not forget actually the so-called ground motion services that are making use of the technique of anthropometry, where you basically take images from the same geometry in orbit, but at different time. You make a processing and you can derive some ground movement of few millimeters. This is extremely powerful for instance, prevention of landslides, but also in the domain of infrastructure monitoring, like bridge surveillance and so on.
So what does the future hold, Pierre, for the Copernicus program?
So we have
extinction du dernier boost avant.
We have new missions in the pipeline that are called the Copernicus expansion missions. They will provide new set of observations.
Nominal.
And they are key for the Copernicus services to address new, to get new measurements on some key parameters. We are working now also on the definition and starting the implementation of so-called next generation missions. There will be a Sentinel-1 next generation that will ensure the continuity of the current mission, but over the period 30s, 40s. Ensuring continuity, but also improve performance, like better resolution. So we are working very closely with our colleagues at the European Commission on the long-term scenario of the Copernicus space components. We also involve our member states at ESA, and the objective is to define the best architecture of the space components that needs to be maintained. So the objective is really to keep Copernicus as a great, successful European program.
And to keep that funding going, which is so essential and so important. It's an important program for all of us. Pierre Potin, thank you so much for joining us. That was really fascinating. Very, very grateful. Right now, let's go back to Thomas Ormston, who's at the European Space Operations Centre in Germany, where the teams are waiting to receive the signal from their baby, from their satellite, Sentinel-1C. Over to you, Thomas.
Acquisition de la télémesure du satellite Sentinel-1C.
We have just had the signal from Sentinel-1C over our station in Alaska. You can see up on the screen there, the green lights are the signal that Sentinel-1C is talking to us, and we are for the first time hearing from our satellite in space. I'm sorry, I'm probably not talking very clearly. It's an amazing moment that we actually have data from the spacecraft. The teams here will now be very, very focused because for the last hour and 50 minutes or so we've been passengers on Vega C. Now our job starts and we have to start looking at the satellite. We'll be looking at how healthy it is and trying to work out what the next steps are. Of course, we've practiced this many times. You can hear in my voice that I'm barely holding it together because I'm very excited to look at those screens as well and see what our satellite is telling us. But the great news is that we have a new spacecraft in space and that Sentinel-1C is talking to us. And back to you, Katie.
That's such fantastic news, Thomas. Thank you. It's been such a pleasure hearing from you guys and finding out everything that you do there. So that's great news. We have separation and we have acquisition. We have a new satellite in space. We have continuity of the Sentinel-1 system, which is fantastic news. So let's go now over to Andreas Kubilius, who is the European Union Commissioner for Defence and Space.
Perte de la télémesure attendue. Fin de mission VV25.
Getting some clapping here in the Mission Control Centre. Very happy faces, lots of smiles. I think everyone can feel very, very proud of themselves.
Yeah, congratulations to everyone who played their part in this success. It's a very, very nice moment.
Absolutely. Now, I'm hoping that we have Andreas Kubilius talking to us. We actually recorded him earlier, so I'm hoping that we'll be able to go to that now.
Dear colleagues, at the Europe Spaceport in Kourou, space enthusiasts, good evening. Tonight's successful launch of the Sentinel-1C on board of European launcher Vega C is a key milestone not only for Copernicus, but for the European Union space program and the Union overall. The addition of the Sentinel-1C satellite into the Sentinel fleet of satellites further reinforces Copernicus, the world's most advanced Earth observation system. The data provided by Sentinel-1C can be soon used by users all over the world, for example, for detecting oil spills, monitoring floods, or earthquakes. But this is also a key launch as it confirms Vega C return to flight. In the current geopolitical landscape, autonomous access to space is even more pivotal for the Union. The return to flight of Vega C, together with the inaugural flight of Ariane 6 early in July, greatly contribute to Europe's sovereignty and autonomy in space. The European Commission is working to ensure that the EU has continuous and independent access to space, both via launchers and satellites, to best serve and protect its citizens. I would therefore like to extend my warm congratulations to the teams of the European Space Agency, Arianespace, and our industry partners who worked around the clock to make this launch a success for Europe. I would like to thank you, and I look forward to working with you for many more launches, not only for Copernicus, but also for Galileo, for EGNOS, and soon for IRIS².
Congratulations to everybody, smiles all round and everyone clapping. And now let's go over to Joseph Aschbacher from the European Space Agency, Director General of the European Space Agency. Joseph, great launch, huh?
Yes, good evening from my side, and what a launch. And I'm very happy to see that we have acquisition of signal, we had separation, all successfully and all nominal. And this is really a big achievement. Europe can be very proud, and I'm not only speaking here as Director General of the European Space Agency, but as a very proud European, because we have achieved a lot together. And let me really say that what we have achieved today is two very important milestones. Number one, we have regained return to flight for Vega C, a very important, very successful launcher, and this will open the path for many future launches in the medium-class launcher segment. And this is a very important step. We have worked very hard together with our partners, with industry in particular, to make this happen. And personally, I'm so happy, I'm so satisfied that this launch has been successful. According to plan, all very nominal, and I'm very relieved, but also very happy and very grateful for all our partners. But also for Copernicus, we have Sentinel-1C in orbit. We have a signal. We are speaking to the satellite. The next steps, of course, will be the layup phase, which takes nominally 3 days. It can be sometimes a bit shorter, and I know our teams are very ambitious to make it a bit shorter. Then we have the in-orbit calibration validation phase, again, to switch on the instruments, test the instruments, and make sure that the signals are doing exactly what we expect, and then, of course, afterwards deliver routine data to the users. But Sentinel-1C is really a wonderful mission, and I am saying this because I've also been here at this very place when Sentinel-1A was launched about 10 years ago. As you might remember, I've been in charge of the Copernicus program and ESA for quite some time. And for me personally, this is also a very big milestone to see this happening and see this success, to see that the Copernicus program is increasing, is having Sentinel-1C now in orbit together with Sentinel-1A, delivering again data as a couple. And this is for Europe important, this is for everyone important that uses this data worldwide and is bringing a lot of information from agriculture to forestry to ship routing to climate studies and many other domains. So really a big relief and a big thank you. But let me really say that today we have, of course, launched at the European Space Agency now Sentinel-1C. We had the return to flight of Vega C, but also this morning we have launched another satellite from India with the Indian partners, with the PSLV rocket, which has launched Proba 3 this morning. So today, the European Space Agency has launched 2 satellites on the very same day, which is the very first time that we have done this. And this is only possible because we have wonderful teams. Let me say a big thank you to our partners, to Arianespace for having delivered this satellite, to industry, to Thales Alenia Space and Airbus Defence and Space and many others, among 60 of them, for having developed, constructed this satellite under the leadership of ESA. To, of course, our partners of Avio, who have been making sure that the return to flight has been successful. Next to me is Giulio Ranzo and his team. They've done a wonderful job. But also our own ESA teams have done an incredibly good job in making all this happen. The Launcher Directorates, the Earth Observation Directorate, Tony Dolker-Nielsen and Simonetta Kelly and their teams have done an incredibly good job. But also with our teams in operations to acquire the signal and make sure that our satellite in the next phase is doing exactly what it needs to be done. So really big thank you to my very own team as well. And last but not least, CNES, who is providing all the facilities here in Kourou at our European launch port. Big thank you as well for this big success which we have today. We deliver, ESA delivers, Europe delivers. We can all be very proud. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed, Joseph. And now to Giulio Ranzo, who is the CEO of Avio. Giulio, what does this launch mean for Vega C?
Well, it means a lot of things. This launch is extremely important for Avio as a prime contractor. Tonight we have restored the capability of Vega C, but most importantly, I don't know if everybody noticed that, we doubled the size of the satellite that was ever launched on a Vega class launcher. So 2.3 tons versus 1.15 tons ever delivered to SSO. So I'm very proud because the team worked very hard in cooperation with the ESA team in a joint work over the last few years to really ensure flight worthiness. But most importantly, tonight we celebrated a great success of Europe. A very sophisticated radar satellite was entirely designed and manufactured in Europe, and my friend Giampiero will talk about it. This launcher is designed and entirely manufactured in Europe, and even the tracking of the launcher during its flight was for the first time conducted using Galileo satellites. So I think what a better testimony of the fact that Europe feels incredible capabilities in space across all the domains of competency. So this means a lot to us. I also would like to take this opportunity to thank my other partners, not only the European Space Agency, but Arianespace and CNES, for having supported us, in particular over the last year. We have sorted a number of complex issues to prepare this flight and to ensure flight worthiness, so I really would like to thank them. And then I want to thank all of the space agencies across Europe that have supported the Vega program first and the Vega C, starting, of course, from the Italian Space Agency, who has believed in this project from the very beginning of the 2000s and across the 2010s with the preparation of Vega C, and now this history is continuing across with the new version of Vega, Vega E, which will come in a few years as a further improvement to the capabilities that Europe can count on as a very dependable rocket to be used for their needs. So thank you very much, and congratulations to you all.
Thank you very much indeed, Giulio. And over now to Giampiero Di Paolo from Thales Alenia Space, the company responsible for building our spacecraft and leading the teams. As we've all said there, Giampiero, it was a huge European team effort, wasn't it? You must all feel very proud.
Yes, thanks. I have to say that is a very important moment in our lives because for us, staying here, assisting this fantastic launch with all the company that stood with us in all this year is really without a word. I think that Joseph and Giulio said fantastic word, and they said how much has been important for Europe today have this launch and this satellite in orbit. The satellite has been done thanks to the cooperation of more than 60 companies all over Europe. The satellite is a very complex satellite that will provide images thanks to the radar technology. Radar technology done along with the Airbus company that provide a fundamental contribution for developing the satellite. Thanks to this instrument, we will see fantastic image on the Earth without any problems, looking through clouds in any weather condition. I would like also to thank the cooperation we had with the Italian Space Agency that helped a lot in developing this platform, Prima S, and also the old technology we had on board thanks to the cooperation had with the companies, Italian Space Agency and the European Space Agency. I would like also to say that the big team we built this year provide an unbelievable contribution to have this success tonight. So again, this is a success for Europe and all the company working in this big project.
Giampiero, thank you so much. And now over to Stefan Israel, who is the CEO of Arianespace. Stefan, it's a good night.
Yes, and I think all has been said by our dear colleagues and partners. Again, congratulations to Joseph, to Isa, congratulations to Giulio and Avio, congratulations to Thales and Alenia and Giampiero. I want to thank the agencies, ASI for sure, the success of tonight has a strong Italian flavor, let's say it, and CNES for hosting us. I think the Commissioner Kubilius has said very strong words on his desire to have an autonomous access to space. We have with us Christoph Kautz from GDFIS, the European Commission. He has mentioned Copernicus, he has mentioned Galileo, and there will be IRIS² as well. So Europe is back tonight, and thank you very much. You can be proud of what you have delivered. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much indeed, gentlemen. So, it is mission accomplished for Vega C. Sentinel-1C is on its orbit. And Stefan, did you want to say something else? Have I...
No, I think I have spoken too much, and now it's time to celebrate. Thank you very much.
We saw you again on camera. Thank you, gentlemen. The Sentinel-1C is on its orbit, ready to help us find out more about our planet. Congratulations to everybody involved, and in particular to the Sentinel-1C teams.
Yeah. Thank you to all the teams, and congratulations again. Yeah, and thank you, Katie. It was really a pleasure and an honor to come on this live with you. So
well, thank you for being with us too, Samuel. It's been great. Best of luck to everybody now, and to the ESOC teams as you fly your new baby. We'll be back for the next launch here at Guiana Space Center, but for now, from me, Katie Haswell.
And from me, Samuel Rogez. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.